What's going on, guys? This is Cole, aka Proximitty, bringing you a brand new video today. It's going to be a no-scope tutorial video. No-scoping tips, not a tutorial. I don't need to explain how to no-scope. You understand the concept, just don't use your scope. But I'm going to run you guys down a couple tips and a few methods on how to no-scope effectively to try to help you win a few more encounters where you normally might find yourself struggling. You know, when you're no-scoping with a sniper, you're often under a lot of pressure. You know, it's easier to do when you're playing team snipers because the other person's also trying to snipe you, so you have a little bit more time in a lot of cases because no-scoping is not an easy thing to do, and a lot of people aren't very good at it. But if you're playing regular Slayer, oftentimes with the snipe, you're getting pressured because people know you have the snipe, so they're going to put one or two people on you, and they're going to, rush at you relentlessly. They like to keep the sniper out of your hands, and a lot of times you need to be clutch and clutch up in those situations and be able to snipe. So I'm going to teach you guys two different methods. The zero flick method and the whipping method, or the whip no scope. I'm going to show you guys how I do those, or how to do those, so you can make sure that you can practice them and hopefully get better at no scoping, and it'll help your game out a lot. So before I get too far into it, I want to make sure that you guys can trust me, or you feel like I'm the caliber player that can be teaching you how to no scope. If you're concerned about how good I am, now I'm going to show you a few clips of me no-scoping so you can see some of the methods in action and see what I'm going to be teaching you guys to do in this upcoming video. So here are a few clips of me doing some no-scopes, and I'm going to explain how I do those and run down the process, and after I get done showing you. So there you go. Those are some no-scopes coming from me. Those are just from recent days of gameplay. I know that I started saving some solid no-scoping clips so you guys can see some of my no-scoping action. But now we're going to get into the first method, which is my preferred method, and I use this method 95% of the time. So the first method I want to go over in this video is the whipping no-scope method, and that's going to look a lot like this. So basically, you might have seen that and initially thought, like, okay, how are you going to teach me how to do that? Doesn't that seem like something like you just really got to practice, you got to be really talented to do? But yes, there's a ton of practice that's gone into that. I've been using that method for years now. I've been doing that regularly since late Halo 3 and then all of Reach, Halo 4, all that crap. So I've been doing this for years, and that's a big part of no-scoping. It's not... There's literally nothing I can tell you that's automatically going to make you good at no-scoping, and that's the way it is with Halo in general. I can't tell you anything that's going to make your shot good. You're going to have to practice it. You're going to have to put in the time. But I can tell you a few things that's going to make it easier for you to get there. And the first thing that I want to note is, you see, as I'm strafing here, my reticle is head height. And I keep my reticle at head height all the time. Now, you want to be in this practice no matter what. Whether you're no-scoping regularly, whether you touch the snipe a lot for your team, whether you touch the snipe a lot by yourself, no matter what, you want to be in this practice. And a good way to do that, I got in the habit of doing that playing SWAT in Halo 3. SWAT in Halo 3 was ranked, and eventually it got pretty sweaty. So you wanted to make sure that you had the advantage, you made it as easy as possible for yourself. So, as you see here, let's just say I'm walking around normally. I have the snipe in my hands. I'm walking around, and I'm coming across here. Boom, it's head height every single time. It's going to be like that every single time. And that makes my life a lot easier if I need to clutch up and no-scope somebody, because all I have to do at that point is move it to the left or right. But I want to keep him on my left side. I always am going to be whipping to the left. Now, I will whip to the right if necessary, but preferably, if I can set myself up to make the easiest shot possible for myself, I'm going to keep it head height because, as I just explained, it makes it very easy for you. And I want to keep him to the left of my gun. So I just have to whip this direction. Now, a lot of that's going to be in, timing and movement of your thumb, so you can get used to it. But you want to be able to keep him to the left because it makes it easier for you to see where he is and keep him in front of you at all times. If you're trying to whip to your right, oftentimes he's going to be behind your gun. Now, I have his name notifier there, so you can aim for that, I guess, but it makes it really awkward if you don't have much of a reference point besides that. Now, if I can see his entire body, I find it very easy to find him, and I can whip it at him and just try to no-scope him. And then it's all about timing at that point. So, in the heat of the moment, if he's coming at me, I just have to whip it at him and lane him. Now, I recommend using this method at close and to mid-range. See, if he's at that range there, Go a little farther back. At this range, I would still use this method. But if you keep on going back, this is going to become very, very hard to execute. Now, in this game specifically, you have no auto-aim whatsoever while no-scoping, no matter what the range is. If he's in my face, I don't have auto-aim. If he's far away, I don't have auto-aim. So, this method could still work, but it becomes far more difficult. I actually still hit it. It becomes far more difficult at a longer range because his head's smaller. So, if he's closer to me, the target is larger, for obvious reasons. You know, that's just perspective. Distance makes it harder. But at a close range, I'm going to try to use the whipping method 100% of the time. Now, if he were jumping at me and strafing, which you'll find oftentimes, you know, this method is most effective on flat ground. That's another thing to note. Flat ground, I can keep it easily at his head height. Now, on a ramp, you can try to do that, but it's a little bit more difficult. And if I'm above him, if I'm up at the top, let's say I'm up here and looking down at him, you can still do it, but it's harder for you to do because if he's walking, he's constantly changing his vertical perspective, or his vertical relativity to me. So horizontal is the way you want to move this shot, and it's harder to do when he's moving up and down like that. So I prefer to do this method on flat ground 100%. Now, it doesn't mean I don't whip shot in situations like this, but I'm far less consistent. It's more difficult. So I'm just trying to explain the pros and cons of the whip shot right now. But if he was jumping, as you can see here, it's the same concept. He's now changing on a vertical perspective. And that makes it difficult for me because I can't just keep it lined up and whip at him. Now, you can still do it, but see, I missed there, and I'm less consistent on that. It's far more difficult to do, so you're whipping it in like more foreign motion. So for this, I would not recommend using the whip shot. I would recommend using the second method that I'm going to discuss in the video, and that's called the zero flick. And the zero flick, it sounds exactly like the title suggests. Basically, what you're going to want to do is keep your reticle as steady as possible. I know Dallas prefers to use this method. He doesn't like to whip as much as I do, and that's okay. It's all person by person. I'm not going to say there's a better method. I'm not going to say which method is better. I'm just going to explain the two that I use and the situations that I prefer to use them. So if he's jumping, I can follow him. I'm going to try to be as patient as possible. The key to this method is patience, but play with a purpose. So you don't have all the time in the world, obviously, because if he's shooting at me with his pistol, he's going to kill me pretty quickly. But it's important to play patient and try to line it up. You know, even if I just body him, you can double body somebody, you can blame him. Either one works, but the idea is to be patient and wait for them to fall into your reticle. You're not trying to force it on them. You're not trying to do anything. You're waiting for them to strafe into you. So you can see a good example of how that would be used. If you can see somebody strafing on a straight line, if he's just going one direction slowly, that's very easy to line up, waiting for him to just cross your reticle and then just pull the trigger. I don't really know how that wasn't a headshot there, but you can see what I'm talking about. And I prefer to use this method, the zero flick, at longer ranges, because I have more time to just line it up and wait for him to cross into it and just clean him like that. Now, of course, every single time you're going to have to be no-scoping. There's never a guarantee you're going to win 100% of the time. For obvious reasons, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage, and most of the time while no-scoping, you're going to die. But hopefully some of these tricks I'm teaching you can help improve that. As you note, when I'm doing this zero flick method, I'm still continuously keeping the reticle at a head height. Now, of course, if he's jumping in the air or he's on a ramp, it's more difficult to do, but it's still possible. If he's jumping in the air and you're using the zero flick method, my most preferred way to do this is not to meet him in the air, but try to meet him on his landing. You know, if you wait till he lands, I don't know where these are going, to be honest with you. They look pretty on to me. But if you wait for him to land and just pop him in the face like that, that's my best way to do it. You know, wait for his landing and then just try to clean him. I don't know. I can't do it right now. That's terrible. So, the zero flicking method, in my opinion, is more effective at longer ranges as well as confrontations where you're not on even ground with the person. So if I'm up here again and he's strafing, I find it easier to try to kind of just wait and line it up and then just wait to pull the trigger rather than trying to whip at him, because that makes it very, very difficult. Like I said, anytime there's a vertical movement as well as a horizontal movement, it makes it very, very difficult to try to whip at him. You know, it doesn't mean it's impossible. I just know that I prefer to try to use the zero flick method in those situations. Now, like I said previously, there's no better method. Neither one is easier by any means, and neither one is more effective by any means. That honestly is player by player. I'm just explaining how I like to do it, and hopefully, you know, these will help you execute as well. But the important thing to do is to practice both of them a lot, because it's gonna take practice. I'm not saying I'm perfect at no-scoping. I'm not saying I miss, because I never miss, because I miss a lot. I've missed a lot trying to make this video, but it's important to note that it's going to take a lot of practice, and that you're going to have to also play with knowing which method you want to use in certain situations. You know, you might want to whip 100% of the time, or you might want to always use the zero flick method. I know a lot of people prefer the zero flick method because it's, you know, it's I mean, I'm not gonna say it's easier, but it's less, I don't know, it's not even less practice. It's just obviously less scary to think about trying to do this like whipping motion. You know, that's gonna take some practice, but you know, I find that to be faster than waiting for somebody to try to line up the shot. Now, a lot of people, like I said, they prefer the zero flick and they're fine with it, and that's fine. You know, waiting for them to just walk into it like that is plenty good as well. But like I said, I prefer them both in different situations. But 95% of the time, I'm going to be whipping. I find that to be faster, and I just prefer it. To recap and conclude, I just want to say that to make sure when you're using the whipping no-scope, you have it at head height and try to keep them on the left side of your gun. You know, whipping to the right's possible, but as you see, I'm messing up. It's awkward. I don't like it. I like whipping to the left. I like keeping them on the left side of my gun. I find that much easier. And then the other big tip I would put on the zero flick method is to make sure that you're patient but playing with a purpose. Wait for them to make it easy for you, but don't wait too long because they will kill you if you wait too long. You can't sit there forever and just try to like slowly turn, slowly put it on their head. You got to try to move it quickly, move with a purpose, but make sure you're letting them do most of the work for you. And I think that's about all of the no-scope tips I have for you guys today. I think that's about all I can cover. Like I said previously, nothing I can tell you is going to make your shot good. You're going to have to practice a lot of these and just make sure you're putting the time in to get better at it. But that's basically how you're going to be no-scoping, how I no-scope if you want to learn from that. I hope you guys found this useful. We're playing on this Forge map that my friend Dallas here made. He's been helping me. Thank you, Dallas, for strafing around and letting me talk at you for a couple minutes. Yeah, this is a Forge map that he made. He's really good at forging. This is a great warm-up map. His gamer tag, as you see spelled here, is I3IG Texas. Go to his file share if you want to download this. Grab this map. It's a really good warm-up map. I really like it. Also, if you want to learn to forge like he does, he has a channel and he's doing forge tutorials / tips to help you teach you guys to get better at forge if you want to do that. He does an incredible job. He's been all about forge since Halo 3, and he got really in-depth with Halo 4 forge as well as Halo Reach forge. So he's been doing the same in this, and he's teaching everybody how to use it, as a lot of people are overwhelmed by the new complicated forging methods in this game. So go check that out if you guys are interested in Forge. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Practice these no-scopes. If you use them and you find them helpful and you're like, hey, I used that whipping method and I got this sick clip, you know, let me know. Come back, comment, link me up. I don't know. I want to check that out. I'd love to see you guys using these methods in action. You know, practice them, get better at them. Show me what you've learned. I would love to see it. But I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope it was helpful. Like, comment, subscribe. Do all that nonsense. Subscribe for more. I plan to do more tips in the future for actual gameplay, not just jumping on maps and stuff. So let me know if there's another thing you'd like for me to like teach you. If you see something in some of my gameplays and you're like, how do you do that? Or, you know, help explain how to do this properly, let me know and I will do my best to do so. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Oh, no one here.
I got
Oh!
Hold delay for just a second.
Oh!
Oh my god.
Oh my god!